great pleasure to be here today to speak to you, and thank you, Tina, for inviting me. So what I'm talking about today is the use of containment products in the NHS, which is my current professional obsession. So interesting after the previous talk with the 5 Ps, because I have 4 Ps in my service. So I think we have a theme here, Tina, of the Ps. Oh, my Ps have gone. Keep on clicking. Okay, there we go. There it is. So just a brief overview of the service that we run in Lewisham and Greenwich, and which I took over just over 3 years ago as the new clinical lead. And we prescribe products to many of the residents in the borough. And the 4 Ps that we follow are, for every product that we prescribe, we have to consider not only the product, but the patient, the purse, and the planet. And just a very brief overview. In terms of people, the patient is clearly the number one. But it also matters about the healthcare professionals prescribing and using products, and about the carers who are fitting the products, particularly in the care environment, such as persons home with carers or a care home. It also matters about the family and their views. And of course, media and social media also have a huge impact. Now, England's quite small, UK is quite small. Obviously, we're likely to use a lot more containment products than many countries for the reasons the previous speaker has mentioned. And Lewisham is a very small part of London. But we spend a staggering €700,000 per year on containment products, which I just found horrendous when I took over this role. And that's the size of our population. Lewisham makes up 0.0004% of the world's population. The planet, we all are aware of what's going on with that and how long it takes for containment products to break down. Now, the reason I called this the elephant in the room, as people have already mentioned today, anything around continence care is the elephant in the room. People don't want to talk about it. It is a very stigmatized and awkward discussion to have. And perhaps we should make it plural, because really there's a number of features that we need to address here. There is the stigma around bladder and bowel problems. There's the fact that pads and containment products, they play an extremely useful role in helping to give people back some dignity, the ability to go to work, to socialise, to travel. But what I've found in running this service is it also allows people to hide away with their problem. And it can take people further away from a journey towards assessment and treatment. And we need to be very conscious of that. We've also found that it allows other staff and healthcare professionals and carers to hide away behind a lack of ... awareness, training, confidence, skill, the right words to use, and interest. And it horrifies me, some of the things that I have seen over the last 3 years. And I did a short stint on the COVID wards at the height of the pandemic, and what I saw there just made me want to completely weep. Then there's the health risks of using containment products, and we now know there's signs that they may increase the risk of urinary tract infection, and we know about the risks to the skin from the chemicals in the superabsorbent polymers, and of course cost and environmental impact, which I think is always to be considered. So how do you eat an elephant? Well, with great difficulties, I found. When I took over the service 3 years ago, I thought I can change this. 50% reduction in product costs, which we know from research is possible in the older population if you put in place simple conservative measures. Give me a bit of time, maybe a year. Didn't plan for the pandemic, obviously, and I can sort that out. Not a chance. It's like turning the Titanic. I do feel now that it's moving, but it's so slow that it is painful. And it has taken the fact that I'm completely obsessed with it not to give up. You need to identify general issues. So custom and practice and expectation. We're not just dealing with the patients who may be new to our service. We're dealing with care homes, carers, district nursing teams, ward staff who are so used to the fact that you give out products that it's very difficult to change their views. You also need to identify local issues, which will be different for everybody. So our area is an inner London area. It's not an affluent area. So we see a lot of referrals for people wanting pads because they can't afford to buy them. We should only be prescribing pads for clinical reasons, not financial ones, but that is something that we have to tackle and address. We also have a large community that is of ethnic minority groups, particularly Muslims. And we very rarely see those ladies in clinic. Again, people have alluded to that this morning. So they're the sorts of people that will be using pads more because they will just find it too hard to know what to do about approaching us for treatment. And then beliefs. And you can summarize that from what I've seen in the community setting. If you're old, you're incontinent, you use pads. And it really is that brutal. But of course, the way you eat an elephant, as we like to say in the UK, is one bite at a time. So, what do? You take time to do it. You dive in and you get involved with the detail. And I think that's really important for anybody here who is involved with the service that uses containment products. You have to really, really understand your service and the patterns and the beliefs and the expectations. And it takes time. I have spent hours and hours poring over spreadsheets, understanding what's going wrong, understanding what works well, not an awful lot in that last category. Every problem will have a solution. Every solution comes up with 5 more problems, and you just go on and on and on. But it does get better. And of course, sharing the learning, which is what this conference is all about and is so important. So what's worked well at Lewisham and Greenwich? We have made changes. We have reduced costs. We have taken 5,000 people off the product register. We have stopped care homes ordering products for people who died 6 years ago. And we have renamed the service. So we used to be called the Continence Service or the Incontinence Service, which just grates on me. We are the Bladder, Bowel and Pelvic Health Service. We are integrating with the pelvic health physios across the hospitals and now with urogynae, urology, colorectal services, so that we will become one large, conservative, integrated team. We are following national guidelines. We have fantastic guidelines in the UK from Association of Continence Advisors, Royal College of Nursing, and NICE to name the key ones. But they weren't being followed, but now they are. We are using research to inform our practice. One of the examples of this was a year ago we changed supplier. That wasn't our choice. And the square pads, I'm sure there's plenty of people here familiar with those. They're called procedure pads, but they're often misnamed bed pads or incontinence pads or Inco pads, just for short. And we found that over 100 people were using these as containment products on a regular basis. Now, we had complaints because they changed, they were much thinner than they used to be, and they weren't as absorbent. When I looked into it, there's some good research by Alan Cossenden et al. For NHS business, and they found that they are totally unsuitable as containment products. You only use them for a procedure, enema, catheter, wound dressing, put it down, protect the bed, protect the clothing, take it away again afterwards. So we made a policy change, we've stopped that practice, we've written to everybody, we've called people, we've put them in for reassessments. I have never dealt with so many complaints in my life. People love these, they use them all the time, they're cheap as chips. My manager was really keen that I didn't change it to stop the complaints. I never really do what my manager says, so I stopped it, dealt with the complaints. But we've got people better care and onto better products where products are needed. We're following good quality clinical pathways now to get the best assessments and treatments for our patients. And we've done a lot of training and supervision of staff. We've lost a good number of staff who just wouldn't change how they practiced. But instead, we've now got a really good cohort of 12 staff who are really motivated and enthusiastic. And we have a really clear vision for our service. So what's next? We have lots and lots of plans in the pipeline. We really want to focus on promotion and healthcare strategies for people to put into place before they need containment products. We want to set up our own social media channel as well so that we can reach our client population better. And we want to work with our CCG because the way that containment products are planned across the UK is very patchy and there's a lot of work to be done there. I want to get a non-clinical expert in place for product management. So once a clinician has finished their clinical intervention with the patient, we have somebody who is an expert who not only can prescribe and manage products where they are needed, but can also advise patients on privately sourced products that might suit that person better. We want to do a lot of work on prevention. We're really missing that in the NHS. And I really believe that we've got the opportunity to lead change in containment product prescription across the NHS. And finally, a lot of people don't find containment products very exciting. And I am happy to talk about it for the next 48 hours for anybody who wants to listen to me. But it doesn't have to be tired, wrinkly, grey, slow and steady like an elephant. It can be really quite an exciting topic, and it's really ripe for change. And we can change how much money we spend, we can have a positive impact on the environment, and we can transform people's lives by getting them treated, and where they can't be treated, getting them products that are absolutely perfect for them and can do the best for each individual patient. Thank you.